without these sponsors. We would not have this virtual worldwide event attended from people all over and run by JoomlaDay USA team. Our premier sponsor is Watchful. Platinum sponsors include Commerce Lab, Joomla Open Source Matters, OS Training, Rockin'. Our gold sponsors are Cloud Access, JModule, RS Joomla, Web 357, Weebler. And our silver sponsors, Danico, Joomla Connections, Joomla Shack, L-Theme, Mastermind Joomla, Ritech Sites, Simplify Your Web, and Web Design by Robin. I'm also going to take a moment to introduce Tim Davis, our speaker today from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada on Vancouver Island. He lives with his wife Susan and he has 3 grown children and 5 grandchildren. He's been using Joomla for his website since Mambo. So maybe he was one of the ones this morning that said 17 plus years. He was rescued from the boxy sites he was making in Microsoft Front Page and Dreamweaver. Thank goodness for Joomla. Over the years, his interest in making websites has grown from a hobby level to making some money on the side while pastoring a local church, and now to a full-time business where he has hired employees earlier in 2022. Tim is a past co-host of Joomcast podcast and owns the Basic Joomla Tutorial YouTube channel. All of this information is listed on his speaker profile on jdayusa.com because there's links to over 500 videos viewed, 250,000 views since November of 2013. And I'm gonna go ahead and let you, Tim, tell us what this presentation is all about.
Okay, thank you, Robin. Hello, everyone. Hey there, Joomla fans. Tim Davis here. I'm a Joomla fan too. I appreciate you watching today, and I appreciate the opportunity to present to you this session on migrating Joomla 3 to Joomla 4. So let me fire up the my slides here. At the end of the session, I'll give you a link to download all of these slides because there's a bunch of links that I include in them so you can access them yourself, and they'll be available for download on my site on a very ugly download link that I created quickly last night. Okay, so screen 1. Okay. Yes, migrating Joomla 3 to 4. Now, Robin has done a great job introducing me, so I'm going to probably go very quickly through the first couple of slides. There we go. There we go. She's already mentioned the sponsors. I was going to go to the sponsorship page, but yes, thank you to the sponsors and all the hard work that was put together for making JoomlaDay USA possible. Who am I? I'm Jean Valjean. No, I'm Tim Davis, and Robin mentioned my family. This is us last summer when we actually had everybody together, my wife, our 3 kids, their spouses, and our 5 grandkids. So there we were at a nice campsite here on Vancouver Island, where I live on the left coast of Canada. Seattle is just down here. Vancouver, many of you were in Vancouver for, I think, was it J and Beyond or Joomla event years ago, which was, I did not make it over to, but this is where I live. And also, if you've watched the news, Canada is in the process of dealing with the reconciliation, coming to terms with how we've treated First Nations. So I'd like to just acknowledge that my company sits on the ancestral lands of the Tchamista and the Lekwungen-speaking people of the Songhees and Esquimalt nations. And the use of the land here is defined by the 1850 Douglas Treaty with that same people. So it's something that we're going through as a nation, and so we're just very mindful of those that lived on this land before we settled it. Okay, my Joomla story. Robin mentioned a lot of it. I began playing around with email lists in 1996. I started building web pages with Microsoft Front Page and Dreamweaver in 98. And as she said, I found Mambo and in a quick installer, my hosting account, and discovered the template system. I thought, oh, that's how people are making really nice looking sites, or how I can. And then in 2005, I suddenly saw this announcement that Mambo was, that there was a bunch of people leaving it and going to form a new CMS. And I thought, well, am I going to stay or am I going to go? So as I looked at things, and watched, I thought, well, it seems like the talent and the people really behind this software are going to Joomla. So I thought, okay, well, I'll go with Joomla. I'll follow them. So it was really just an uninformed decision based on some basic logic, and that worked out great, of course. 2013 started my YouTube channel, and which basically, I'm not a programmer, so I would spend a couple of hours trying to read through documentation on things. All the information is there, but it was in terminology I wasn't really familiar with, and once I figured out what I wanted to do, I thought, well, I could probably make a 5-minute video and show other dumb people like me how to do it. And that's taken off on my channel. 2017, I started doing this full time. And as my wife and I transitioned to a new stage of life too, Robin mentioned I was pastoring a church. We are now working with refugees, helping resettle refugees in Canada. So Joomla is, and my company are my source of income now. I co-hosted a Joomcast podcast for 22 episodes. And in 2020, I incorporated my company because I was hoping that I would be able to take advantage of some government funding, which I've been able to. So I hired my first employee, and going to be hiring some more students on internships as well, hopefully this summer. So all right, so let's talk about Joomla 3, migrating Joomla 3 to Joomla 4. First of all, do you have to migrate Joomla 3 to Joomla 4 right away? And I would say, no, you don't have to. Now, Joomla 3.10 was released on August 17th, 2021. And it's going to be supported with updates, bug updates, and security updates. No new features, but for 2 years, and until August 17th, 2023. So there is no real pressing emergency right now, as we're talking in, April of 2022, to have to migrate right away. Nothing bad is going to happen before the end of the month that's going to force you to have to migrate from 3 to 4. And if you want to check out the documents here, versions of Joomla, I have this link. You can see here that 3.10 is end of life, not until August 17th, 2023. And so we're all good. There's no huge emergency to do anything right now. Why migrate? Okay, why pack up everything and move it absolutely to a new version of Joomla? Joomla 4 offers a new world of possibilities, and I'm using a lot of links to our Joomla.org site, because why reinvent the wheel? But Joomla 4 is not only the latest Joomla, it is the greatest Joomla, and it has a lot of features in it. If we take a look at this page here, we can see some of the things that Joomla 4 offers. There's a task scheduler, SEO, better SEO in Joomla 4, a redesigned administration area, Joomla 4 search, Joomla 4 emails. You can customize the email templates in Joomla 4, workflows, speed, accessibility. That's a huge one. And security. So why do you want to migrate to Joomla 4? To take advantage of all these latest things and cutting edge things that's in Joomla 4. Also, just remember, migration is like moving to a new house or a remodel. So let's suppose that there's some things that you want to do where you're living, but the electrical circuits can't handle it, or there's just not something that's up to speed or current. Move to a new place that can do that. In docs.joomla.org, why migrate? On this page, you can see a number of questions talking about migration, and so you can read that later on. But this is a really great time to revisit your site, your Joomla 3 site, and look at, do you need everything you have installed in there? Was there an extension you played with? Or maybe at some point in the past, you had an extension, you switched to a different extension that would do the same thing. You never really uninstalled the old one. Migrating is a great chance to just pack up what you want to keep doing and what you want to keep using and incorporate it in your site moving forward and clean up some of the other things and not. So there's other things here. Like I said, I'll give you this link. And there's some cool buttons at the bottom, which we will also be talking about. So for instance, in this next slide here, what skills does migrating require? And if you're wondering what you need to be aware of, or maybe need to brush up on, or what you need to have in your tool belt in order to migrate your site, Joomla has a really great migration step-by-step self-assessment. And what you can do here is ask yourself these questions and kind of follow your way down here and just follow through the conclusions and the advice and the resource that is here, and that will give you an idea. And if you want to get some help, there's a directory button at the bottom. Later on, have some links to some of the resources in the Joomla community. And of course, I'll give you my contact information as well. So yeah, it takes some skills, but a lot of these skills you already have from using Joomla. And if there's others that you need to brush up on, then there's going to be help available for you to do that, to pick those up. All right. Now, before you migrate your site, back it up, just so you do not end up drinking tears, your own tears, because something's happened and you've lost all of your site. So backing up is super important regularly on our Joomla sites, and especially before we do a migration. Now, I recommend backing up your Joomla site with Akeeba Backup. It's a free extension, and that you can get through the, if you actually install from web in Joomla, it is the first extension that's listed, and rightfully so. Just makes it super easy, especially in the restoration process, if you ever need to restore a backup of your Joomla site. Now, and that link that I have there is to a video on my channel that will take you through the steps of installing Akeeba and how to make a backup. Your web hosting account might offer you some tools that will allow you to make a backup of your Joomla site as well, and I have a video on that. So for instance, the people that are hosting with my company, I have Softaculous on my server, and it has a tool for backing up. I still think Akeeba is a better way to do it, but if you want to make a quick backup as well in your control panel of your hosting, then you could always use a tool that is there. And what's really important is that once you back up your website, go into your web hosting control panel and download it to your computer. Download a copy to your computer, and also, especially if you have a large site, move it to a different folder other than the folder that your Joomla site is installed in. Just one of the reasons it's nice to do that is because if you do need to restore your site, you can avoid having to upload it again. If you don't have a fast connection or it's a huge site, you already have it right there on your server. You can copy it back to the folder that it should be installed in. But the other reason that I say download your backup through the web hosting control panel, well, not only because the downloads can become corrupted if you do it through a browser, but if you're going to migrate, you really want to make sure that you have access to the hosting account and the hosting space of where your site is, because if you run into some troubles or need to do some troubleshooting or need to restore your site, you don't want to start to migrate your site. It goes south on you, and then all of a sudden it's the middle of the night and tech support is slow and your site is down and you can't access it, or especially if you're helping someone else migrate their site. So make sure that you have access to the web hosting control panel when you're migrating your site. All right, and then what you're going to do is, next step is to duplicate your site. You don't want to do a migration on your live site until you're sure that it's going to work out. And the best way to know that, to be sure that it's going to work out, is to practice on a duplicate of your site. So you've backed up your website somehow, restore your website, or restore your backup to a different location in your web hosting. To subdomain is the best place to do it. And then you can practice on that. So make a copy of Joomla site by installing your Akeeba backup to a subdomain. I have a video on that. Or make a staging area for your Joomla site. Now, a staging area is a bit different than restoring a backup, because the tools that you use for making a staging version of your site or area for your site also have the option to merge what the change you've made back into your live site, which works if you're using the same version. So if you have Joomla 3 and you make a staging area using one of these tools, and you make some changes and you like them and they work, and you can merge them back into live site if they're the same version. Same thing happens with Joomla 4. But making a staging area is a quick way to make a copy of your site. Only in this case, if you successfully migrate, you are not going to merge it back into your live site. A couple tools that you can use to do that is StageIt extension for Joomla. This is a paid extension. I just reviewed it, just looked at it on my site this week. It is really great. It is really easy for making a staging version of your site, and over and over and over again. So if you're using a backup and you're installing, and there's a lot of steps, this really streamlines it. So that is definitely worth checking out. Or you might have a tool in your web hosting control panel, and again, Softaculous has a tool where you can, if your Joomla site is being seen by Softaculous, and you can use Softaculous to discover the Joomla sites in your account, you can create a staging version, do all of your testing on that, and then your live site is still safe. So, and there may be other tools out there that come with web hosting accounts that will allow you to do that. And remember, like I said, don't merge a successful migration back into Joomla 3. All right, so once you've made a copy of your site or a staging version of your site, the next thing you're going to do is practice migrating it, right? We're going to take an example from SpaceX. Just keep trying. And go into the copy of your Joomla site and start to go through the migration process, and you'll be happy you've done that, because your live site will survive. Because what might happen, you never know, your migration practice might not land very well. And if that happens, then simply restore the copy that you made of your site, make some adjustments, and try migrating again on that copy. And now, at this point, it's very hard. Who knows what might happen, what error message you might get, what troubleshooting you might need to do. Turn on error reporting in your global configuration. That will maybe show you the names of some of the extensions that are causing you problems. And then you see what you need to adjust or maybe remove, or you get in the nitty gritty of it. But what you want to do while you're doing that is keep a record of the changes that are successful, and then carefully make those changes to your live site. So let's say you make a copy of your site, you try migrating something, it doesn't, you get the white screen of death, you turn on error reporting in your global configuration.php, in your configuration.php file, and you see in the error, it can't find can't find such and such a plugin or a component that is in the error message. You think, oh, okay, something's not right there. So maybe you go back and you realize, oh, I never updated that component, or, oh, I guess that one wasn't compatible. I'll just take it off. Just make a note of that and then evaluate. Are you going to be able, you're going to take that off of your site, or how are you going to be able to move forward? Maybe you won't be able to migrate yet. But do all your practicing on what you don't care crashes, and then you can update on your live site. And remember, then as you're making those changes to your live site, your live Joomla 3 site, regularly make a backup of your live site as well. So if something does happen, you don't have to go back and make all those changes that you made all the way along. And then once you've done that enough and figured it all out, you will have success, and you will have a brand new shiny Joomla 4 website. And of course, once you successfully migrate the copy of your site, you're going to put your live site offline and migrate it. And once it migrates successfully, don't forget to back up your new Joomla 4 site, because that will be what you want to go back to once everything is finished. Or you could forget about practicing. You could forget about backing up. You could forget about making copies. You could just give her, just update, and what could go wrong?
Hey, what about Major Kong?
Now, I don't know if you could hear Slim Pickens riding that bomb down, but he was having a great time hooting and hollering. If you don't back up your Joomla site, then and if you don't practice and you don't work on copies, you will not have as much fun as him, but you may end up having the same ending. All right, so next I've got 4 examples of, we're going to migrate 4 Joomla sites here, and at least 3 of them, and just go through the steps of migrating from Joomla 3 to Joomla 4. Now, the first site that we have here is just a basic, just a core Joomla 3 install. So let's go to that site and we will log in. We're going to go to Components, Joomla Update. And you'll see here we have the latest version, Joomla version 3.10.8. So always start with your latest Joomla version. And then in the top right, we're going to go to Options. And on the update channel, we're going to select Joomla Next. Now, when we save and close, we are going to end up in the pre-update check for Joomla 4.1.2. And we will check for updates here. Now, this is just a core plain Jane Joomla 3 site. So there is really not anything extra added to it that needs to be checked. But we can see here in this pre-update check that we have the required PHP and database settings passed and recommended PHP settings passed. And in these lines here, we have more detail, and over here, more detail as well. So it's not just these bars that we look at, whether they're green, red, or yellow. There's other information that we can look at just to make sure everything is good. So here we see that everything is great in order to update this site. So we just worked through this pre-update check. Of course, with the plain Joomla 3 site, there's nothing that's going to not be working. And so that's fine. So we can then go to the live update tab, and we can go ahead and install the update. Going from 3.10.8 in this case to 4.1.2. There's not even a button here for us to check and say we'll ignore warnings because this was 100% go. We'll click install the update, and it's just going to update. We'll watch that green bar race across. And then there you go. Our site's been updated to 4.1.2, and we can preview the site. And it is just blank because I did not have any sample information installed in that apparently. So, all right. So that's an example of just a very just what the update process looks like, and hopefully. When you're migrating your site, it goes as smoothly as that. All right, so you probably will not see this next screen, but we're going to go to another Joomla site. All right, so this is another Joomla 3 site. And in this case, what we have here is a core Joomla 3 site. And it has Akeeba backup installed in it. Now, I wanted to show you the process of migrating to Joomla 4 when you have Akeeba backup installed on your Joomla 3 site, because there's one step that you have to do afterwards at the end to update Akeeba so it works to version 9. So I thought I would just demonstrate that. So again, we're going to go to, and you'll see we have Akeeba here installed. We're going to go to Components, Joomla Update, and we'll go to Options. And we will go to Joomla Next, and we'll save and close. Now you will see here, let's see here, pre-update check 4.1.2. No update required. Down here, we'll see file FEF, file FOF40, and Akeeba backup package. And that we can look at more details. Here we have Akeeba. It is the installed version is 8.1.3. It's 3.10.8 compatible, and it's also 4.1.2 compatible. All right. Although this is just a sort of a transitional Akeeba backup, so that works in 3 and 4. Now, interestingly, and I didn't notice this last night, Installer from the web. It's a plugin that comes with Joomla, and it's showing that it is there's no update information for it, which is very odd because this is just core to Joomla as well. And I thought if it is extension manage, and let's just go to install for a second. I'm going to see if I have that installed in here. It's taking a little while there. So, but I can see the tab is installed in the fade there. So it's interesting why that's coming up. We'll talk about when there's no information available, but this is not going to be a problem here. So cross my fingers, it's not going to be a problem. I don't think it should be. But all right, so no update required for Akeeba. We can pretend that this was updated. I guess maybe the latest version is not in here. But next we'll go to live update, and we're going to go and install the update. And that will zing along. And everything going well, it will say, hooray, you're in Joomla 4.2. Now, we have Akeeba version 8 point something installed. So if we go to components and go to Akeeba backup, we'll get this message that we're currently using Akeeba backup 8. And so it's only meant to upgrade from Joomla 3 to 4 without losing your backup archives and settings. It's not supported for taking on restoring backups with Joomla 4.1.2. So immediately what we want to do is replace with this Akeeba version 9. And we can do that by clicking on the box, take us to the Akeeba site, and we can download, here we go, download the core. This is the free version for version 9. The pro version has lots of great features in it, so it's definitely worth getting. But we can download that. Let's just download this to a very, I already have it there. Good. We will just, sorry. Now I have to find, I think maybe that took us out of the back end. So we will go back to here. Whoops, I went back too far. No worries. I'm going to just go to administrator. I went too far back in my browser history. Okay, so we will go system, install extensions. We're going to upload the package file, and that's going to install Akeeba version 9. And it's really slick because now we've got Akeeba backup for Joomla, which is version 9 here. And also you will want to go and remove version 8 from the extensions. And to do that, you would go to system, extensions, no, manage extensions. And then you're going to look for anywhere where you've got Akeeba version 8.1.3, and you're just going to check those and uninstall. And there may be some others down here as well. And of course, you can always filter by the name, Akeeba. And again, you're just going to hunt through and find these ones that are 8.1.3, remove it, and you'll be golden. So I wanted to show you when you migrate from 3 to 4 and you have Akeeba installed, just that step, because this is such a great tool to keep backing up sites. And so there's just a little bit of what you need to know. All right, so now we have another site here. And we'll go here. And this is an example of when there's information, when there's an extension listed and it shows that there is no update information available. So again, we'll go to components, Joomla update, go to options, go to Joomla next, save and close. Now what I picked for this extension, I installed convert forms from Tassos. And because this is an example of an extension that is Joomla 4 compatible, but when you're doing the pre-update check, a lot of the plugins for that extension just don't show up as, they show as information unavailable. We can go more details, see here, no compatibility information for either. And I talked to Tassos about this, and he pointed out that the pre-update checks are not always 100% reliable. For me, one of the clues to look for is down in the no update required section. And you'll see down here, convert forms. It is compatible for 3.2.3 in its version 3.2.3 that's currently installed, and Joomla 4.1.2. So probably what's happening here is that these plugins, they're just not picked up or read. I don't fully understand how the checking system works, but they are compatible, and this will work. Now, if you are ever wondering in your pre-update check and you think, oh, convert forms, oh, well, I better find out if that really is compatible, or you're not sure, you can always check the developer site or contact the developer, or maybe look for them. Maybe they have a group on Facebook and you could ask. And in this case, if we go to the convert forms page on Tassos' site, we can see and look up here, version 3.2.3, compatibility 3.8, 3.9, J310, and J4X. So it is compatible. And if we were to migrate, then we would have no problem with that. I won't migrate this one just because I want to leave time for questions. Okay, so now this next site is an extension that has J3 update information, but there's no information available for Joomla 4. So we'll log into there. And for the last time, we'll go to Joomla update, options, Joomla next, save and close. Now the extension I chose to demonstrate this is the extension manager from Regular Labs. So let's just take a look at that. Regular Labs, I think most of us are using one or very familiar with them. And Peter Van Westen has this extension that allows you to see all the Regular Labs extensions he has, and you can install them on your Joomla 3 site. but he has not yet made this installer Joomla 4 compatible, right? So let's just click back here. And so what happens is when we look at the update information, the pre-update here, and it says information unavailable, we go to more details. Here we see that the Regular Labs Extension Manager, it is compatible with 3.10.8, but there's no compatibility information. Now, I don't know if there's a way to put in something that it's not compatible or not, or why it says that or not. But the reality is that here's a case that would probably give you a great clue that, oh, this is probably not compatible, because the tag is there to show it's interacting. It has what it's needed to take part in the pre-update check, but there's no information there. And so then once again, what you'd want to do is contact the developer, check the developer site or the community or a support forum and say, hey, is this compatible? It looks like it's not. Is there a plan for when it'll be compatible? And indeed, if we go to the extension manager page on Regular Labs, you can see that Peter has a note right at the top. Extension Manager is not compatible with Joomla 4 yet. And in fact, he's got really great information. He has a roadmap and a plan for all of his extensions. And so while you're doing the migrating or planning or preparing, you can look and say, oh, here, when's something going to be available? And then you might say, oh, dummy content. Oh, that's not, he might not even do that. Okay, well, that's interesting. And you can find your way and navigate there. So that is an example of when an extension is not yet ready for migrating. Now, when that happens, what if a key extension is not J4 ready? All right, you're looking, you're testing, you've been doing some of these pre-checking, and you realize, the thing I really like to use or that I have on my site that I'm using is not ready. What should I do? All right, so there's some things you can ask yourself. Can you wait? Is this an extension that is so important to you that you can wait until it is Joomla 4 compatible? You contact the developer and you say, hey, your extension XYZ, do you have an idea when it'll be ready for Joomla 4? And they say, oh yeah, I think it's going to be ready in June. And you think, okay, well, I can wait till June. That's a couple of months. Can you wait? Is it something that that's totally, especially, you might have a lot of data already entered in that, and you just don't want to re-enter it into another extension. So can you wait? Because like we saw, there's no bad thing happening very soon. Joomla is going to be supported until August of 2023. Joomla 3.10. Is it redundant because of features that are now core in Joomla? So back in previous versions of Joomla, sometimes there's functionality that was not part of the core of a core Joomla install. And so extensions were developed that would add that functionality. And there are some extensions that are not yet Joomla 4 compatible, but their whole reason for existence was years ago because functionality didn't exist in Joomla, so they put it there. But now there's a lot of things that are core in Joomla 4. So when we talk about a migration, this is perhaps an opportunity for you to move, and may take a lot of effort, depending on how much data or things you have to move, but to look into changing, dropping some components that only offer things that are in core already. And then you've got your stuff in the Joomla core, and which is really great going down the road, excuse me, because the next time that maybe, let's say when you decide it's time to migrate to Joomla version 6 in 2031, and you don't have to wait for that extension to be migrated again because it's already in core. Core will always be carried through. So is it redundant? Maybe you can move stuff out and you don't need to wait for it. Can you find a J4 ready extension that does the same thing? So maybe it's an extension that you've been using for many years and they haven't quite kept up with the time. And now's the chance to get in on to use a similar extension that does the same thing, that has some more features, that's more current, that's something that you could ask yourself. Or maybe, can you live without it? So, for instance, I have Peter, dummy content. It's a great little plugin that puts in lorem ipsum text when you're kind of laying out things in a Joomla article. Regular Labs has it. Well, I can live without that. I can copy and paste stuff. I would just remove that from Joomla 3, so it's not a problem. All right, when it comes to migrating from Joomla 3 to Joomla 4, remember, you aren't alone. Joomla means all together. So definitely take advantage of the Joomla forum, forum.joomla.org. And there you can ask questions. There you can also participate. We all have varying skill levels in Joomla. So there'd be times that we see questions that we can help answer, and other times we can ask questions. So that's a great resource. Another good one too is the Joomla Facebook group. And there's the link there. You can go in there and ask people for questions, or and maybe even get directed to something. It's a good place to connect. Probably not the best place for super technical questions. I would do that in the Joomla forum. But again, join that Facebook group and watch some of the discussions and things that happen in there. And I think you'll find that very interesting. Also, now to the and then there's Google, Bing. Anyone still using Bing? I looked on Bing last night. It's still there. Or YouTube. Ask your question in Google, and you'll be amazed at what comes up in answering your question. So, in fact, maybe use Google, Bing, or YouTube before you ask in the Facebook group. But and finally, wrapping it up, here's how you can contact me. So if you need help, or you have any questions, or you want to connect with me, I slammed all the stuff on there. You can email me. There's the link to my YouTube channel. I'm on Skype at Cybersalt, Twitter at Cybersalt, Facebook /Cybersalt, LinkedIn. You get the idea. My website, which I need to redo, it's not. We're just going to rebuild it. It's more content that I need to change than the look. My basic Joomla.com site, if you've watched any of my live streams, I beat on that regularly. So it's in various stages of things, depending on what I've been doing. And finally, if you want my slides from today, you can go to cybersalt.com/tag/JoomlaDay USA. And those will be, and then you can click on all the links and review what I went over. And so that is, that's my presentation. Those are my slides. So I'm happy to answer questions. And thank you very much, everybody.
Great job, Tim. Thank you. I got 5 questions in our Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your first question. I have a staging area cloud access, and I migrated my 3x site, and I updated it to Joomla 4. My dashboard is not appearing correctly, and I want to start over. Any tips? What's the best way to start over?
Okay, so the best, your dashboard's not appearing. I was wondering, one thing I would look at, were they using a custom dashboard?
She said no.
No, okay. I would turn on error reporting and
maximum, like in the configuration.
Yeah, and turn on error reporting and see if there's an error at the top. I have seen this in some of the just test migrations that I was doing. It's quite possible something didn't finish didn't finish in the process as well, in the migrating process. You could certainly you'd be more than welcome to email me, and maybe we'd hop on a Zoom call and do some screen sharing just so I could see exactly what's going on. I wouldn't be able to do that until after this weekend, like maybe on Monday afternoon. But it's possible that something didn't quite get copied. I think it's probably in the back. Is it just a white screen for the back end, or is it just like menu links without any proper CSS?
Columns are
Oh,
spread
the
out.
columns are spread out. Yeah, it's probably, yeah. We'd have to look at that. And in fact, that would be a fun video on my channel, if we could somehow if we could somehow sanitize the content on your site. And not that your content's dirty. I mean, as we get rid of the personal stuff on it. Maybe you make a copy of that, but I'd be happy to look at that with you, and we could look and see, because I think that's one of the, I've seen that before in some of the test migrations that I've done, and be good to have a cure for that. So go ahead and email me and mention that. Yeah. Okay.
The next one is, a long time ago, I created 2 sites that use K2. That was before Joomla added capabilities that mimicked the K2.
Mm-hmm.
Should I migrate K2 items into Joomla articles before trying to upgrade to J4 is the question.
Yeah. This is probably just going to be more of a personal answer than a technical one, and I know that K2, they're still working on getting it J4 compatible, which is fine, because there's, for instance, another extension, J2 Store. There's a lot going on, so they've been working a lot to get it ready for J4.
I think he said, who was Patricia, K2, not
yeah,
J2.
no, but I'm just saying J2 Store is another.
Okay.
So, because I don't want to offend anybody who uses K2. There's lots of people who love K2 and are doing great things with it. Me personally, I would move the content to the core. Now's a good time to do that. That's just a personal preference. But again, I want to be super sensitive, because the K2 community, they're very passionate about K2. They do a lot of things, and I've seen them talking about some of the things that they do. I think, wow, that's cool. I don't know how to do that. So there might be still some things that I'm not aware of that you can't do in the core, or that you'd have to do differently. But that's their tribe, and I don't want to offend the tribe of K2. But if you can move your content into J4, and now's a really good time to do that, to get in the core. So my personal preference, if it was my site, I would do that. But I don't judge people by their technical abilities or the extensions they use. So that's not their value as a human being. So I hope the K2 tribe will still love me if any of them watch this. So
in general, do you think it's a good idea to kind of look and see what in J4 has added to core that could eliminate some of the plugin use, or as a
non K2 user, I know one of the things that was very hard to do in Joomla was to have content that was assigned to more than one category, and K2 took care of that wonderfully. So in Joomla 3 and then of course carried into Joomla 4, you have tags. And so tags is a great way. Tags is great too for SEO. Let me tell you, when I add one of my videos to a page, I add it to a category. So Joomla tutorials, but then I tag it for what it is, like Akeeba backup tutorials, and restoring, I'll tag it to a couple topics that fits in. Each of those tags creates a page on your site under that tag, and Google does not see that as duplicate content, because there's different collections of the different articles. So you have the one article. So you have your article, you have the category blog view that article will appear on, but then you also have the tag pages that are collections of all the other topics. And Google doesn't hate you for that. So I've actually searched for topics that I've done a video on, and I've actually shown up 3 times in search results on different URLs on my site, because they're just different collections. So that's an example of one thing. I think another thing too was being able to display author information in articles. That was something that was really nice that K2 brought. So there were things like that. but probably the best thing to do is even just install a site, install just a plain Joomla 4 site, and just manually copy over some of your K2 content and duplicate it and see if there's something missing. So if you say, oh yeah, this is great author information, yes. Oh, multiple tags, that's good. Oh, wait a second. Joomla 4 doesn't have the toaster feature. Oh, okay. Well, okay, I'll stick with K2 then, so.
Great. So the next question is, hello, I'm interested in your opinion. When will all or almost all developers of third-party extensions and templates completely stop supporting Joomla 3?
Oh, stop supporting it. I think probably we'll see attrition after August of 2023, just because there is so much. I think the majority will. And again, you asked for my opinion. Just because it takes so much to keep programming and keep developing and keep both things current. You can see some extensions that are still supporting 1.5 and 2.5, and that's and there are people still using 1.5 and 2.5 for necessity, or some would say recklessness, or for whatever reason. But I would think after once Joomla 3 reaches end of life, that most developers will stop because it will stop supporting it. I could see if there's a huge hole was found in an extension, a security hole, that they would do something about it. But otherwise, because one thing about developers and programmers is they like working on the latest stuff. They like working on cutting edge stuff, and so they're always forward facing, and they only have so much time, especially if it's a free extension. You only have so much time to dedicate to the free things, the free extensions you're working on. So they're going to want to be working on current stuff. So, but I would, there's some things that, so for instance, Weebler, who's one of the sponsors of JoomlaDay USA, they're not doing SH404 SEF for Joomla 4, but they're replacing that with 4 SEF and 4 SEO. Jot Cache is something that was really great, really nice extension I like using for speeding up Joomla sites, but they're not doing a Joomla 4 version. So some there just are, who knows if they'll continue on after that, but with those. But yeah, I would think when Joomla 3 reaches end of life, probably a lot will stop supporting. Although, again, not being a developer, maybe there's a reason that maybe it'll go on longer than that I'm not aware of.
So these have been really great questions. This next one is about databases. They said, I like the idea of cleaning up the site as I transition sites to J4, but doing it by migration rather than just recreating means that there are still a lot of extraneous tables in the database that are no longer needed if extensions were tried and abandoned. Mm-hmm. I'd also like the database cleaned up. And can I just go in and delete tables?
Yes. So what I would do is, yes, you can. And that would be a great thing to do on a copy of a site, again, for testing. Always back up your site. Now, if you're using PHP MyAdmin and control panel, so if you have a cPanel web hosting, and PHP MyAdmin is available on other web hosting platforms, you can actually export your database as a backup by itself. So you don't have to keep backing up your whole Joomla site. And you could look and go down. So if you see a table that is, so let's say the prefix for your database is 123 underscore. If you see 123 underscore and then the name Tim's extension, whatever, and you got rid of Tim's extension a long time ago, then you could just click that table and delete it, and then you'll be fine. Now that's if you've uninstalled it completely from your site, because maybe it's hanging out in plugins and stuff like that. But hopefully, through the migration pre-checker, those old things that are still installed in files will show up. Then but do be careful because, so for instance, ACY mailing updated, they had one version, I think version 5, the tables started with ACY mailing or Akeeba, ACYBA, and then you go to version 7, the tables get rewritten to ACYM, or anyways. So you got to be super careful, but you can, if there's something in there and you see something that was like, so for instance, a long time ago, you used Jom Social and you're not using that anymore. And you know what those tables were named. You can just delete them if you've removed them and the tables are still hanging out there. But back up your database, because if you break your database, you can wipe it clean and re-upload your database backup. You don't even have to touch your files. The only thing I would be cautious of is that if you have a huge database, you might suddenly find out that your web host only allows you to upload maybe a certain size file to restore your database. And if you got a database that's like 10 gigabytes because something big's going on in there and you can only upload 5, then it gets really tricky re-uploading. So, but yeah, you can do that. It's you're in the belly of the beast there. So there's great reward and there's great pain to be had in both ways. So
I have 2 other quick questions. We'll try to fit it in before the 12:30 timeline.
Okay.
Is there anything special to do to migrate a Yotheme site? And do you have any insight on that?
No, I don't. But so the rule would be make sure you have the latest the latest version of Yothemes installed. I think maybe you'd want to check to make sure the template that you're using is compatible with Joomla 4. But I don't know Yothemes that well. So that would be definitely something to ask them in their forum and say, I'm going to migrate this to Joomla 4. I've got the latest builder installed. Will this be fine? And I'm sure that they'll be happy to explain that.
Okay. And any idea why Joomla 3.9.28, his particular site does not display 310.x as available?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm hearing that Yothemes is completely compatible from 3 to 4.
Okay, so Elisa, thanks, Elisa. Yeah, why would that not be showing up? I don't have an immediate answer to that. I bet you there's someone that would hear that would say, "Oh, I know what you need to do." That's something I would, again, you could contact me. We'll try to figure it out together, and a bit of screen sharing or experimenting. And but offhand, I don't. And I know our time's pretty short. So email me. Who's that asked that? You looking for the name? Anyways, email me and tell me that's what you're asking. We'll figure it out. Okay, and Hugh Cole says all old Warp themes are deprecated. So yeah, you definitely just want to check in your theme and ask to make sure. Okay, do I get cut off? You're welcome, Ian. Thank you, everybody. We might have lost Robin there. I'm going to go ahead and end this then because I've got the big red button. But again, you've got the contact information, cybersalt.com/tag/JoomlaDay USA for the slides. And I'm happy to hear from all of you.